Actually, how many times do people do that to you?
I don't actually think it's ever happened.
Really?
Yeah, I think this is the first time.
Well,
but I love getting like when people send me the memes or whatever.
Oh, the videos that go, the guys like, you seen those videos?
Yeah, I love them.
There was one that
they like pet each other on the back,
yeah,
or whatever. Yeah.
There was this one I saw where this guy like enters a room, or like it's like a gorilla smashes a guitar. Have you seen that one?
Yeah. There's like it's like a kind of absurd situation, or like things go from. Is it in a bathroom? There's like one in a bath. Yeah.
Give me a second, I need to get my story straight. Friends are in the back. Yo, what are you doing? Yo, that's my guitar. Yo. Give me a second,
Just last month, I had the opportunity to speak with Andrew Dost, who you may recognize from the band Fun. Andrew was responsible for the creation of songs that have stood the test of time in my life and were very formative for me. While Fun experienced worldwide success when their song We Are Young became a smash hit, the band has remained on hiatus for over 10 years, following the release of their album Some Nights. This year, Andrew Dost has returned with a new project called Metal Bubble Trio. He just self-released an album called Cucumber last month on January 17th. I was fortunate enough to speak with Andrew about his musical history, Antonoff and Fun, to film scores, and now Metal Bubble Trio. My name is Tyler Common. You're watching Common Revolt. This is my conversation with Andrew Dost. I hope you enjoy.
Yeah, it started, I watched this video of a little girl playing guitar, Mew Mew Guitar Girl, she's like 4 years old.
I wish you blue bars in the spring.
These beautiful complex chords that just were so soothing to my spirit, and I was like, what is it that is in this music and in like bossa nova that is like so deeply soothing to me? I need to know how to do that. So I started taking just online lessons and learning like, oh, that's what this chord is, and that's how to play Waters of March or whatever. And then at a certain point I realized like, oh man, I really wish this Waters of March chord went into that one, and I actually really want to hear this other thing. And and I realized like, oh, these structures and melodies are starting to percolate. And I realized, I guess, that I was writing songs. And post Fun, I hadn't really written a lot of stuff that I liked very much. And suddenly I was like, I like this. I want to share this with people. I want to collaborate with people on it. And that just kind of kept happening until I had, maybe 15 songs started, and then kind of whittled those down to 10 for the album. Had to cut one because vinyl is, you only get so many minutes per side. So anyway, so now it is a 9-song album. And it just kind of started happening. I got curious, and I started experimenting and exploring and trying to connect with my friends, and one thing led to another, and I had an album.
Have you found that any of the songs on the record have changed meaning since you started working on them, or maybe you wrote it and you found out later on, like, oh, that's what I was trying to say with that song, or like, oh, this is what.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Always. That Cucumber, the title track, actually, that really happened with that one. As I was writing it, I knew the album was called Cucumber, and I knew the song was called Cucumber, but I didn't know why. And then I had all these other lyrics that had nothing to do with it, but I knew were a part. It was just like I knew what it was. And then this moment unlocked where my mom was cutting cucumbers and cutting the skin off it, and I asked her why, and she said, "Well, that's how my mom did it." And I realized, oh, she's trying to connect to her mother who's passed away. I'm probably going to do that someday too. Like that's Cucumber. That's what it's about. It's about loss and death and divorce and people that leave your lives and connect. It's like, so that kind of like tied those threads together that I didn't realize that I didn't realize I had been threading them. But then it was like, oh, there it is. That's the through line.
Your parents heard the album. Do they like it? Like, what is their opinion on it?
That's a really funny question. I don't really know. I don't know. Like,
do they like listen to your music at all?
They do, and they're very supportive, but they also, like with Anatonoff, I don't like, I never got the sense that they loved it or loved my music, like I think they did, or I think it's just I think nothing is ever enough for me. Like if my parents are like, good job, I'm like, why don't you hate me? Why isn't it a great job? Why, it's like, I don't know what I expect out of anyone, but I know that it never feels like anybody likes me. That's all I can say about that.
and you said with post Fun, you didn't really write a lot of stuff between then and now. I guess you kind of talked about the video that kind of inspired you to want to make this new style of music. I guess, was there any specific reason that you didn't really pick up music that you liked for a while, or was it just kind of like a writer's block, or like what was the process of connecting, like the bridge between no music and now there is music?
Yeah. Well, I think fun did a number on me in many ways, in terms of like, started out kind of like scrappy indie DIY whatever. Never really expected kind of much to happen musically. I kind of thought like, I'll grind it out. I'll play coffee houses until I'm 80 years old, and if I survive that long, then cool. And then all of a sudden, platinum albums and Grammys, and still, I'm just like,
Right.
like, great. All my wildest dreams have come true. And then the crash down from that into band disintegrates, divorce, whatever, trying to write songs and being like, well, this isn't a number one hit, so it's trash. And trying to then write pop songs that could be a number, and then you're just like, but it's coming from an impure place, and I'm not that good at that anyway. I just kind of got lucky. And, all these things swirl in your head about like your own value as an artist and your own process and your own identity. And so a lot of that was just like, well, then fuck it. I'm just gonna go walk my dog. And all the songs I was writing just felt terrible, impure, bad, boring. Yeah, just like, what do I have to even sing about? I don't know, and like, who am I without my friends? And part of this like rebirth of suddenly there was music, was like admitting that I need friends and I need collaborators and I need to be making music not like in a vacuum. I need to be sharing stuff and sharing moments and having a community and having fun with it, for lack of a better word. Like, I need to enjoy the process and not be so tied to a result or an expectation of like, well, if people don't buy it, then it's worthless. Like, that's not true. Like, the value is in kind of the process and the experience of making it. So
I think it's also about like, if you're not writing for yourself or like writing something that means something to you, then why write at all?
Absolutely. Yeah. Who is it for? Like some imagined person that is going to have an imaginary judgment on it.
Right.
And yeah, the only barometer we have is like, do we like it? Do we think it's good?
I think Metal Bubba Trio is also like a more Googleable name, more searchable name.
Fortunately, it is. Yeah.
That way you can, whenever you're like having a conversation, oh, I said fun, I said the word again. It's just a very usable word.
Yeah, and I it's a word that I use a lot too. And
yeah, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah, I'm like, God damn, I didn't mean to do that. Yeah. So that song was the first song that I wrote for the album, and hearing that chord structure that I was kind of describing, where I was like, man, I wish this one went here, and then I'm now hearing this melody over this thing and this texture and this space, and it's just kind of like conceptually it's about like, I feel like talking about lyrics is so corny. like it is the corniest lyrical song on the album. I wrote it myself, so I can say that, like some I had help with, so I don't want to like talk shit about my collaborative moments, because I think those are generally better than my own moments. So I can say that I didn't know how to say what I wanted to say with that song, and I just did my best and went through a lot of different iterations of it. But basically the idea being that like, whether it's a band or a partnership or siblings or whatever it is, like you come up so tight together, and then like a dandelion seed, a breeze comes along and you're just gone. And that you can't catch them all and stick them back together. And even if you could, it wouldn't be what it was. It wouldn't be its whole thing. It's just gone. And A, that is sad and horrible. B, that is the point of a dandelion. That's why the seeds disperse. So cool. So basically it was kind of about I was trying to be honest. I was trying to be like, communicate that idea lyrically, and like, corny or not, I got a divorce and it's really sad, and I know that her life is rich and beautiful. I hope that mine is, and I hope we can just be our own little plants and continue to spread love and joy and peace and harmony into the world,
I think you're a little harsh on yourself, because I think that's a way more beautiful meaning than I had interpreted myself. It makes the song like deeper, I think that that's it's part of the human experience, because you get older, like things change, like nothing is ever the same as it used to be.
It's really not. Yeah.
As silly as it sounds, that's why nostalgia is such a huge thing in every aspect of human culture, especially in 2025 and 2024.
Yeah, there's this like imagined past that is a lot better than the present, and maybe it actually was.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it just seems that way because we remember the better things. But
yeah, I mean, emo night's a thing for a reason.
yeah, and those songs rip. I've been on a Get Up Kids tear lately. Holds up.
I was a Motion City soundtrack guy myself.
Oh, I mean, yeah,
Bangers.
great.
All bangers.
Yeah. Jeff, I had a dinner with this guy named Jeff. A lot of people around at this dinner, but Jeff and I just really connected. Like maybe 65 years old, gardener, talked about life, love, plants. One of those things where it's like you meet somebody and you immediately, I just felt a close kinship with him. I wanted to get a citrus tree for my house. And so the next day was like, I'm going to call Jeff. Like, I got Jeff's number now. I'm going to give him a ring, see what's up. We talked through citrus trees, the difficulties of having one indoors in northern Michigan, what you would need to do, where to get it, etc. We talked on the phone for like 4 hours the next day.
That's amazing.
Amazing.
What kind of citrus tree was it?
I wanted an orange tree or a lemon tree. Didn't end up getting either of them.
My next door neighbor has a lemon tree.
Really?
Yeah.
Indoors?
In Hazel Park, yeah.
Sweet. Okay. Does it fruit?
Yeah, he gives us lemons for drinks all the time. You should hit him up. He's really cool.
Do you know how big the tree is?
No, he's got like a Florida room in the back of his house. So why say car?
In the back of his car. He's got a lemon tree in the trunk?
Yeah, no, I think it's fairly decent size. I've never been inside that part of his house to see it, so I should probably get a picture of it and show you.
I'm curious. Yeah. Anyway, a couple days later, maybe not a couple days. I remember it as a couple days, but maybe it was a month, whatever. Jeff had passed away, was found dead in his house, and I think his neighbor maybe found him, and it just really hit me hard for whatever reason. It wasn't like he became a huge part of my life or whatever. We only had those kind of 2 moments together, but enough of a deep impact that like I was like, that means something to me and hurts more than it. I was surprised how much it hurt, And so I wrote that song about Jeff. And musically, it was kind of inspired by that band Woo. I really like Woo. And it kind of was an accident musically in terms of like, I ran like a Juno through a Space Echo and then kind of inverted some things and kind of like, the chords are very simple. It was just like, I think a D into a G or something. But then like phasing them and flipping them and stuff, it kind of was like, oh, here's something that's surprising and interesting to me rather than just my dumb meathead keyboard playing that I usually do. There it is. Okay. But then to like run that through some filters and stuff made it kind of interesting to me. So that's Jeff. And then weirdly, about a year after that, another friend of mine named Jeff died. And then weirdly, another guy I know named Jeff a couple days ago died. So weirdly, these Jeffs keep dying. So
if only it was Jeff Bezos.
Oh, God. No comments on that. Yeah. Yeah, Trump's coming for you now.
Oh, boy. He's on his way.
God.
But that's, I think, like, back into it's like a cathartic sort of record for you. Any record any that you make is a cathartic experience, but hearing the meaning behind even just the first 2 songs, it's like it goes way more deeper than anyone would hear on the surface.
Yeah, and I think that's part of why it worked for me to make it and not hate it, was because it's more honest and more rooted in emotion than I was.
There's something to say.
So yeah, I kind of did. I finally did again, and I think I thought as like some like middle-aged white dude in northern Michigan who gives a shit. I don't even give a shit. So why make anything? And then finally realizing like, oh, like the human experience, it goes beyond that, race or age or socioeconomic shit or whatever it is, that like we all have something to say, we all feel things deeply, here's the way I feel things and what I'm feeling and what I've been through, and maybe that connects on some level to something else. I don't know. Track 3 is 99. That one, I guess, like, I don't know what I want to tell you about that. What do I want to tell you as a person versus what I want to share with the public about that? yeah. I guess what I want to say about it is that being an American in the year of our Lord 2025, I feel the need to be increasingly brutal and violent, and not that I feel that way or that I want to be that way, but I feel like the world demands it.
Calls for it.
It's like you got to be an alpha, you got to be vicious, you got to be ready to defend your house and stand your ground, and I don't want to be any of that. I want to be gentle, I want to be kind, I want to be empathetic, and
you see who's running this country. It's like, why wouldn't you want to feel that way?
Yeah. It's a wild time to be like a sensitive person, and to try to be improving and listening more, and to try to be more tender and gentle with every passing day. And how can I like understand your experience more? How can I know you better? And so 99 is kind of, am I American tough? I don't know if you can even understand any of the lyrics because it's kind of smeared under a lot of Vocaloid and auto-tune and stuff. But can I be wrong and rough? Am I American tough? And basically that song is about trying to be enough or be something that you maybe don't even want to be, but trying to aim for it anyway because you are supposed to be. And then whiplashing from that into trying to be more tender and more loving. And so like lyrically and sonically, that was kind of the dichotomy that I was trying to like establish there. Was like, can we have like crunchy metal guitar into gentle spacey bossa nova? Mixing it was a nightmare.
The dichotomy of the songs is like it starts off like that, and the end of the song is kind of like you said, like the rest of the records, which is kind of like you said, might have been a mixing nightmare.
It was, but it was fun. It's a fun puzzle. And Ben, who mixed it, I think that was like the one moment during our entire process together that like tested our friendship and working relationship, because everything else was so easy with him. Like we just click, and like I think we have the same sensibilities in a lot of ways. And with that, it was just like, well, I don't know what to do. Like the drums just aren't working. What do we do? I don't know, man. What do you want? It's just, we didn't argue, but it was like, that was the only tension I remember from that part of the process. And he helped us figure it out for sure. The other thing I want to say about that is I want it to sound like Pee-wee's Playhouse. If you're familiar with the Pee-wee's Playhouse TV show, I want it to be like the opening to Pee-wee's Playhouse a little bit. That was an interesting one to write, because like I could hear the roadmap, and I knew the vibe. I knew it, and I could tell as I was playing it when it wasn't right. And then so like you're playing it and you're like, no, it's still not there. But I have like not hundreds. I have probably 15 voice notes of different iterations of it, being like trying to fumble through it, because occasionally I would get there, and I would want to make sure I had recorded it, and then I would go back and listen to that and catch it. And it was funny. It was kind of like trying to like make a sculpture where it was like chipping away something, and you're like, I know there's like a dolphin in this rock, and I just have to chip away all the parts that aren't dolphin. And so it was a long compositional road that once the chords and the melodies, once I could get them out of my brain into the world, then the layers were the easy part, kind of. 'Cause like layering back to like Aim and Ignite, like that is something I do really well, and maybe to a fault, is like counter melody, texture, another harmony, and then another one, and then like we'll have a really subtle it's like I think it's it's a crutch for me to be like, I don't want to expose myself and actually just sing from the heart with an acoustic, because I'm too afraid. But like to make like an extra eighth xylophone part,
Right.
that I can do. You know, I don't have to reveal anything of my soul to do that, really.
I think it definitely goes without saying too that you score movies and stuff too, and you can kind of tell like with the amount of instrumentation and work that was. If you like listen to the record, it's like best way I could describe it is like hearing it for the first time with headphones is probably the best way to experience it. Because there's so many different things that multiple times I've heard it so far, it's like I hear new things each time I listen to the record, and I think that's kind of
That's the hope, yeah. Is that so Ben, who mixed, and Glenn Brown, who mastered, brought a lot of that clarity out, fortunately, because like making those counter melodies, having Christine and Rachel sing some of those like counter melody lines, and then having the guitars layered and guitar harmonized, and there's like a Wurlitzer line that kind of counter, there's like a lot of different like competing things, frequencies that could be competing if they're not like perfectly seated in terms of their like frequencies and volumes and textures. And so I have been to thank for like making sense of all my ideas, basically knowing when to quit too is a big thing that Nate and Jack helped me with, and Ben helped me with. Like, that's enough.
It's not like there's not things competing with each other in the same song.
Yeah, well, yeah, because like if you can hear, ba-da-ba-ba-da-na, and then do, they, like I could hear both of those things, but like, do they work together? Maybe not, but like if you seat them just right, then they can.
It's like a musical soup.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like we were talking about soup earlier. It's like you don't want to over season it, because then you don't want to just eat salt. But like that right with no salt, it's nothing.
Right.
So you got to just find that right balance. And so like having collaborators is essential to me for that, because I will over season or under season or get frustrated and dump it down the drain.
That's usually what I would do.
Yeah, sadly, me too. Yeah. I wanted to release that one first because it felt like the most Metal Bubble Trio song. Like, kind of Stereo Lab-y, kind of bossa nova, kind of spacey. It had a little bit of a life and a bounce to it, so I didn't want to release something like super downer first. Right. It's got like a little smirk to it or something. Wrote that walking up a hill with my dog. Wrote it kind of as a duet, so I looped in Christine Huckle from Woman Believer. And then the way that she approached it was not in a duet form. She like helped me like lyrically and structurally map out the ideas, and so that was kind of a surprising thing. Like I thought I was asking for this, but the artist, the amazing artist that she is, took it in her own direction, and then so that then we had something, I thought, and then it wasn't quite done lyrically. Melodies, structure, instrumentation, textures were all in place, but the lyrics still weren't there. So then Christine and I were in Toledo with Ben mixing, which ended up kind of being a reverse production thing. And Ben kicked in a couple good lyrics to that. At the end, we were like, what is this end? And we were basically like, okay, like universal themes. It's the universe. So we start in the shower, because like that's where a lot of thinking gets done, I think, for me. You can't be reached. It's just your little box. And so soap and water, tile and green, the universe is shower steam, zip my coat and move my feet. Then like suddenly now your universe is the street. And then suddenly it's the world. And then suddenly it's the universe. But then suddenly you're sucked back into, for me, it was like a breakup that I was going through, where it was like, none of this expansive universe doesn't actually matter, because my universe was you and us, and now that is gone. So that's kind of how it ends.
Yeah, I think like finding what you are outside of that experience is like kind of what the song is about a little bit too. Is what you're saying? Yeah,
for sure, and like and the irreparable harm that people can kind of do to each other. It's an egg that we cracked and we can't put it back, and just trying to that song, I think, was weirdly... I feel like my art and my life is often, like, very separate. And that was another instance of, like, almost like a catharsis through writing and being like, oh, I think I can grow and learn from this and actually, like, work it into a song and think about it and think about who I am and try to, like, be taught and to learn lessons and grow and not just be a dick. And
that's what music is for.
yeah, right. It's to be a more complete human, I think. Whether we're listening to it or making it or whatever, like, it's about humanity and about trying to grow. That's yeah, kind of a loose theme of the album too. Is like, I think it's like the I Think You Should Leave sketch where he's like, I'm not a piece of shit, I used to be. Yeah, it's kind of like that where it's like, sure,
people can
like,
change.
people can change. I really think they can, and I think the baby knows better than anybody. You know.
True.
Meredith, you never told me your old grandpa used to be a huge piece of shit.
Something that I've struggled with as a songwriter is like so many of my songs are so personally tied to me as a person, like in my personal experience and like autobiographical about like my worst, darkest moments. So like for a long time I thought like if someone doesn't like this song, like they also don't like me.
Yeah.
So I feel like
absolutely.
Have you ever struggled with that with your own music too?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, whether it's bad reviews, perceived lack of interest, whatever it is, that's why I didn't want to release this album under my own name. That's why I started, calling it Metal Bubble Trio.
I thought it was a metal band before I ever gave it a single listen.
I kind of like that about it too. I kind of want to make like metal shirts or whatever.
You should.
Yeah. But like how could anyone like if you don't like it, you don't like me. That's just how it feels.
Yeah. With Antonoff, like the time that you were in the band, you could definitely hear your thumbprint on all the songs you worked on. Like from then to now, like what have you learned since then through all of your projects and different iterations as a musical human being? Also Antonoff, incredibly underrated. That's my plug.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I think part of what I learned from I would say like Matt was the driving creative force in Antonoff, even though we all contributed and it was a team effort. And I think as I was in the band longer, I grew, to get closer to being that kind of creative force too. But I learned so much from Matt, and part of that was I loved his lyrics so much, and I just hated my own, and I thought like he is good and I am bad. And what I really learned was that actually, like, I was talking to him about his lyrics and getting a look into his process and stuff. He works really hard. And he doesn't so much write lyrics now that I'm aware of, but he is still active musically and he's brilliant. But he was like, it takes me so long. Like, I go over in it and over it, and I tweak and I replace and I think of, it was like, oh, maybe I'm just, like, not working hard enough. It doesn't just flow from anyone, even this guy that I think is a genius. So that was something I learned, is like it takes extremely hard work, extraordinarily hard work, and that it doesn't feel right immediately. Sometimes it does. Once in a while you get one and you're like, oh, thank God that was an easy one.
Yeah.
But usually it is labor, and you have to find... Another thing I think that I learned was that you have to find the things that make it enjoyable. Like, if you're just like, I don't know, what sucks? Shoveling snow? I don't know. Yeah. Like, I hate shoveling snow, and there's not really a lot to learn about it, really. Taxes, it just kind of sucks. Yeah. And with songwriting, there is the chance to make it entertaining. I don't want to have this be a horrible process. I want it to be enjoyable, but I do need to put the work in. So what can I do to make it fun, make it interesting, be curious, explore? Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it happens all the time.
Do like a
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He said, say the line, Bart. So I think that those are things I've learned, and I think I've also learned that, like, it's about the process and about the community and the collaboration. Like, it's not Justin Vernon in a cabin alone writing a great album, as much as I wish I could do that, and
probably
I admire him.
But it's just his process.
We all have different processes, and mine generally I like it better when I'm doing it with my friends and sharing it. But so like collaboration, hard work, patience.
Your network is your net worth.
Amen. Yeah.
Post that on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Everybody. Sorry.
Yeah, I wanted a breath And a lot of the album was influenced by bossa nova, by Ethiopian jazz, by break beats, and like there are a lot of different threads that I kind of wanted to tie together, and that one is almost a pure homage or attempt at this gentle morning drinking your tea jazz kind of moment. Like I just wanted it to be. I knew I wanted an instrumental track, and then
I think it fits really nicely.
Yeah, I think it works. I think you need a breath there. When you flip the album, the vinyl, it is the first track on side B.
Oh, nice.
So it's kind of a gentle introduction to the second side.
I like that you think about that when you're making the record, because I don't think a lot of artists really think that way, at least from my perspective.
Yeah, always have. Yeah. That's because that's how I listen to music. Is the journey, the highs and the lows, and whatever. So like, that was a fun thing, and I am using that in the band sense. Like,
I didn't even.
Yeah, we very much were like, we open with Be Calm, this instrumental cinematic thing. Then we get into the song. We bend the synth to flow into Benson Hedge. It was like, every part of it was conceived as an album.
All the Pretty Girls sounds like a Beach Boys song. If the Beach Boys were good.
Oh, I love the Beach Boys.
I didn't know I was throwing shade. Yeah. Brian Wilson's definitely going to click on
You're just trying to get clicks, yeah. You get it.
Clickbait.
Right. Yeah.
He hates the Beach Boys. Click here.
Yeah. Doctors hate it.
Yeah.
Whatever, yeah.
So baby, what you holding on to? It's not me, it's you.
So I had the instrumental fully built. Didn't know what to do with it melodically, which is weird because I think in terms of melody generally. Like I hear melodies. I love to write melodies. Lyrics are harder, but the melodic end of things is pretty easy. Or whatever. I don't mean to be like it's just easy. It's just easy for me. Whatever. It's not easy, but I like it.
It's easy if it makes it feels right.
Yeah. It can be easy. It can be fun. Whatever. So I didn't have a melody for that. I had melodic horn line ideas and melodic guitar runs, and there was melody there, but there wasn't a vocal melody to drive up what I was hearing as a pop song. So I passed it to Matt from Antonoff, singer who I've been talking about, thinking like Matt's a great melody writer, he's a great singer, he can help me get this song across the finish line. So he had been working with the Mind and passed it to the Mind and was like, do you have any ideas for this? And Zig, the Mind, took it and built all those melodies and lyrics and concepts. And essentially, so then they recorded it and essentially sent me back what you hear, like a lot of those counter melodies and stuff. I ended up going in and singing along with him for some of them, but basically he did that, to my instrumental.
It reminded me a little bit of Stars, actually, like the way that the vocal processing, like the whole all of it. It's just really
I could hear that. There's a bit of that beat driven.
Because I can hear your influences from parts of every project you've been in on this record, which is one of the reasons why I like it so much.
Interesting.
That was the Some Nights part.
Well, I mean that's kind of part of the hope here is that if you liked Fun, there are things that I did,
your influence on obviously the band was very palpable to me. So I
hope. I mean, I can hear it. I can be like, but I mean, of course, I was there for it, so I know that was me, that was Jack, that was Nate, and here's how that happened.
Yeah.
So I don't have to see it, but I get the sense you do.
Yeah. So Disconnect. I saw Ben who mixed his band. Played Harvest Gathering, Heavy Color, and they did a Caetano Veloso cover, and I was just mesmerized and was like, whatever that feeling was that they were able to conjure on stage, I want to do that. Mm-hmm. So what is my version of that? What is the Metal Bubble Trio version of that? And so that turned into Disconnect. I had some really loose lyrical concepts, but my friend Chris, who co-wrote Jeff, Disconnect, and Cucumber with me, he's awesome. I gave him I gave him what I had for that, and he filled in the gaps. And he's such a master at taking these melodic shapes and putting lyrics to them that, to my ear at least, I'm like, you get it perfectly. That's exactly what I wanted this song to be. So Disconnect had a couple of those where I was like, thank you, Chris, because I didn't know how to say that.
If we could be
I mean, to me, Cucumber is about the scraps of information that get lost. It's about being removed from a previous life in a number of different ways. Like one thing that I think about all the time is like there was a restaurant that I went to with someone I was seeing in New York, and I really want to remember what that restaurant was.
New York Slice.
Yeah, it was a
Sbarro.
well, yeah, and I can't ask her because it would feel weird.
Yeah.
I don't have contact with her. She lives in Michigan, and it just would be weird. We don't have a friendship.
Right.
And that is weird to me. I wish we did have a friendship. I care about her, and some jokes are had with people that have died, and I'm just like my second buddy Jeff that I was talking about that died. Like, man, I would love to call Jeff and just like bullshit because I miss him.
Yeah.
These things happen. People leave our lives. You get a divorce. You break up. Whatever it is, friendships just kind of disintegrate and don't really have any reason to. They just aren't really there anymore.
Sometimes it's better when they do it that way than a huge blow up. At least in my
Totally.
experience.
Yeah. Like, but suddenly, like I'm in my 40s now, and I wake up and like we were just saying about Some Nights came out 13 years ago. Like, how the fuck did that happen? Like,
I was in high school. I had been watching you guys like for years because I loved Amy McKnight. I was obsessed with it. Every time I had to go shovel the snow, I would put that record on because it got me through it somehow, which is funny because we talk about
Shoveling.
Yeah. But when you guys were like blowing up, you were everywhere. I was so fucking pumped because that means they get to make more and more music because they're getting so popular. And then,
you think so?
Yeah.
Suddenly having a budget means makes things harder.
Because so many people I remember were like mad because they're like selling out or they're getting successful. It's like, no, that's what you want because it's so hard and expensive to be in a band. Like,
yeah.
So the fact that you are successful and people are liking what you're making, like that means there can only be more of it because people are listening. So
That's cool that was your take.
Yeah.
I think a lot of
it was exciting for me.
That's
personally.
cool. Yeah.
I think you guys are like at the Grammys. You guys were playing all these huge shows. Like every other time you guys were here, I saw you. It was incredible each time. So I know where I'm going with this. Actually, I'm just kind of just ranting.
Yeah, just keep praising me. That's okay. Yeah.
But Some Nights is turning 13 years old next month, which is the oldest I've ever felt saying something out loud in a long time. But
Sure.
You guys were this band opening for artists like Motion City Soundtrack and Paramore, like being like maybe like 1 of 4, 2 of 4 on these theater tours. But then you became the biggest band on earth after We Are Young became this cultural phenomenon that still is it still has a pulse on like music today. Like I think it's kind of informed pop music going forward, which is it's pretty unmistakable. Everyone knows. With the success of that song, I guess was it overwhelming to kind of be thrown into it like so quickly? Like I guess from your perspective, how did that feel and kind of get you to where you are now as a person and a creative?
Yeah, I mean, it warps your brain for sure. It warps your relationship to your collaborators and to your process, and also is the greatest thing. It's like, what person wouldn't want to kind of get to the top of their field and have everybody suddenly like adore what you've done and or just give you money to play it? That's cool. Like it was awesome. Yeah, it just was never anything I really expected. I grew up a Beatles fan, and like seeing people scream for the Beatles or chase their taxi down the road or whatever. It was like we got to like kind of live through a lot of that stuff, which is like really cool. Like that thing you do moment where like your song is on the radio and you're like, and then like our manager calls us and is like, you guys have a #1 song. Yeah. That is awesome. It was so cool. It also, there's like the darker side of that is suddenly like people demand more of you than you could possibly ever give them. You don't know how to follow that up. You suddenly think you were responsible for it, and then so does everybody else, including like all the way down the line in terms of like radio promotion and management and everybody, because everybody did have a hand in it. It was a full team effort that wasn't just the three of us. And you get so many voices in a room, you get so many different cooks in the kitchen, and it just kind of like it's getting successful and staying successful and making more records is it's all a different art form. Like the fact that the Beatles were able to make so many great albums in the pressure cooker of that world that they were in.
And the short amount of time, too.
Oh, yeah. And, like, you know, when you look at, like, even their looks, where, like, you know, the Beatles look in 1964 and the Beatles look in 1967, it's like they are radically different human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And they've made some of the best.
Too.
Yeah, wild. So, like, how do you follow up We Are Young? You can't make We Are Young Part 2. So then, like, that song you mentioned that we played on Kimmel, that was, like, going to be on LP3, which we had a name for and everything, and I didn't love that song.
Really? What was the name? Can't be revealed.
Can I say that? I've never said that. Oh, maybe I'll tell you later.
Yeah. Off the record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because maybe we will release it at some point. I don't know.
It's featuring the song "What the Fuck." Remember that song?
Yeah, What the Fuck was maybe going to be on. No, that was actually going to be on Some Nights. We had a working version of that, but it never quite clicked, and so we ended up leaving it off the record. But
my personal opinion was that it should have replaced "It Gets Better" with that song.
I hated "It Gets Better."
That's the only song I didn't like on the record.
I wanted to not have that on. Like I was like, this does not live up to the rest of it. And then
on my iPod, I literally deleted that song from the record because I love the rest of it so much, and I wanted to skip that one. And just
That's
I don't
funny.
know why the chorus was just like grating in a way that was like, this doesn't feel like the rest of the album.
Yeah, I never wanted that to be on there.
That's very funny.
And I didn't want Out on the Town to be a part of it either. Bonus track. But like, if it's on the album, it's part of, you know, it's like,
it's not a Japanese bonus track.
Right. We end with Stars. Stars is the closer.
The song's
like,
unreal. Still.
That was my moment on the album where I was like, I did what I wanted, what I think this album was distilled into Stars. Is like I feel very proud of Stars still.
So, like that and like the intro song, like such a cool, like, forms the record so well, I think.
Yeah, and then you get like Out on the Town at the end, and you get, you know, but hindsight is 20/20.
Yeah.
I could have fought harder, whatever, you know, who cares?
My favorite fun song actually was "Light a Roman Candle with Me," and you wrote the lyrics to that one. Am I correct?
I did. I think that was like the only song that any of us wrote alone. Everything else was more collaborative, but that was one I brought to them as a finished thing. And
when you wrote that song, was it about like a personal experience? I've lit a Roman candle every year because of that song. I always would become a tradition because of that
cool.
song. So
Oh, that's really fun.
Curious if you've had some.
Love Roman candles.
Some sort of like tradition with the Roman candle as well.
Yeah, lighting fireworks with my friends and my like first love. You know, really that I married. You know, that's who this album is. She's in this album a lot too. She's still a dear friend and inspired that song. Wrote it on her piano actually, in Frankfort, Michigan. And then the title came, you know, Aim and Ignite came out of those lyrics too, which is kind of fun. That was kind of just a lucky moment. My friend Cody was shooting some pictures of me in the band, and we thought, like, let's just get the dog up here and play with her. And that image kind of immediately was like when Cody was sending me selects, they were like, this one, like, look at this one, like, look at that, that's cool. Like they were shooting on film and developed some, and we're like, we got some good ones here. And to me, that one just with the orb kind of worked. And Carly my dog thought the orb was a toy, and so she was like scratching it and biting it, and like, but there were a couple pictures where she was just kind of like looking at it, and one where she had her paw on it, and like there's a couple just funny things like that, and that just stuck out as like a moment of like. So I think there's a lot of three, you know, calling the band Metal Bubble Trio. I think you're inclined to have some kind of like three based iconography, and so to have like me, the orb, and the dog on the cover kind of felt like that's a trio of sorts, and it just felt right. It felt like that's my life right now, is me and the dog and an orb, basically.
The orb.
Hi, I'm Andrew Dost from Metal Bubble Trio, and you're watching Common Revolt.
Thanks for watching my conversation with Andrew Dost. Cucumber, the album from Metal Bubble Trio, is available now on all streaming services and on vinyl, directly from the band themselves. Stay tuned for an additional video where I have Andrew taste test different flavors of Mountain Dew and compare them to different songs and albums in his discography. My name is Tyler Common. This is Common Revolt. We'll see you next time.